What is up, humans of the cardboard? Welcome back to Just Nuts, guys. Today, we're doing test hands for the new Lair of Darkness build. This is kind of a weird video because usually you don't do test hands for non-combo decks. I mean, there's the Ties of the Brethren combo you can do, but outside of that, I'm really not expecting to do any real combos. But still, this still gives anybody an idea of like who's curious of how the deck wants to play, what you should be expecting to do on your turn ones, and what you need to keep in mind, at least showing you guys my thought process as we go through turn ones and what I need to be looking out for, what I'm trying to set up and make the best out of these opening hands. So I'll do a quick power shuffle real quick and just do the one here, and then we'll just do regular shuffling after that because it's not that crazy, but you know, just to get a good start on things, just to make sure we're looking nice and you know, fair. You know, I want to draw some random hands. I want to draw some bad hands. I want to draw some good hands because the good hands are like crazy. It's like hard to lose games where you go first and draw a really good hand unless your opponent has like the right, not just hand traps, but the right hand traps for you. And yeah, so here we go. Let's take a look at this. This first test hand, here we go. Punishment, Lair of Darkness, Arima, Artifact Moral Attack, and Lilith, Lady of Lament. So, a couple things going on here. Not the best hand for sure. Definitely not the best hand we've ever seen in our entire lives, but we have some good stuff nonetheless. We're definitely going to activate Lair, because why not? This hand is super simple. We're not doing anything like convoluted, anything crazy. We're just going to normal summon Lilith. And then the only dilemma you could even have in this hand is like, do I activate Lilith to get a trap? But the problem is, the only reason you'd be activating Lilith is because you'd be getting the back to the front. I don't even think you are, to be honest. I think I'd rather just play it this way. Because then at least I keep the back to the fronts in the deck for when they could come up. Or I was going to set the punishments, or the moral attack, I mean. And so what this allows us to do is that if we go to punishment, we can punishment sending into us and then just pop our own moral attack instead of popping a second card of theirs, because he is one, non-targeting, so that actually there's a slightly better version of removal, but also he we get that 2100 body on the field. So it does give us a little more heading into the next turn. We have Arima in hand to be extra damage slash like, you know, to help us push there. And I don't think it's really worth to go for the Lilith to get back to the front, because you're just drawing both back to the fronts, or at least, you know, you're drawing the ability of you to be able to consistently get back to the front for the rest of the duel. So pretty simple, nothing too crazy. Like I said, if we're not doing any of the like Ties of the Brethren combos, your opening hand's going to be pretty simple. It's not going to, you're not going to be doing anything too crazy, except for one thing. There's something that came up yesterday in testing that if I draw a hand where it comes up, I will let you know that there is a slight change that I want to make to the deck in there. But unless that comes up, you know, don't worry about it. Here we go. Test hand number, well, let's do a little bit of this real quick. There we go. Test hand number 2. Here we go. Lair, and of course we're going first with these test hands. Lair again, Heavy Storm Duster, Artifact Sanctum, Artifact Scythe, and Lilith, Lady of the Man. Again, this is a super simple hand. When you have Lair plus Lilith, you already feel like you're in a decent spot. So I'm going to go activate Lair. I'm going to normal summon Lilith, and I think I'm just going to set 3. So when you set 3 here, what you're allowing yourself to do is, 1, this can pull out the moral attack out of your deck, and the Duster can pop an opponent's back row while also popping Scythe. But worst case scenario, you can just pop Scythe and still be able to lock your opponent out, even if their opponent's not setting any back row, or you realize it's a matchup where you're probably not going to see too many back row go down on the end phase. But if you're playing against like something like Tri-Brigade, like Sanctum for a moral attack plus Lilith tributing one of their monsters should be more than enough to keep them from being able to actually make a play. And that means on end phase, when they try to set Revolt or Strike or Imperm, you know what I mean, set some kind of some cards like that, you can Heavy Storm Duster their back row on the end phase and and be feeling pretty good about that. You're probably just going to run away with advantage at that point. So, yep, pretty solid hand, but again, pretty standard hand. Hopefully we'll see a Ties of the Brethren hand. If not, we can kind of fudge a Ties of the Brethren hand. And by that, I mean, lay down a Ties of the Brethren, shuffle the deck, and then draw 4 cards to go with it to at least give you an idea of how those will play out there. Just because, like, I kind of gave an idea in the deck profile of how that's supposed to work, but it's nicer to see, like, in practice how you should expect it to all turn out. So here we go, test hand number 3. Plus these test hands are super quick because the deck does not have combos outside of Ties of the Brethren. There you go. Okay, cool. Ties of the Brethren. Hopefully it's live. 1 infinite impermanence. You've got Ash Blossom. We've got Droll and Lock, and we've got a Maze Attraction Horror House. Okay, so this is one of the god-awful garbage hands that you can hope for. I mean, the saving grace is that you have 4 disruptions. And that's really what it comes down to in this deck, is when you have the garbage hands, it means you just have like 4 or 5 interruptions. That's really what it means. And it's hard to, you don't just lose those duels. You're going to at least have 1 or 2 top decks to get yourself back into things. So because these cards don't pull anything into the deck, let's just say for you know, our sake here, we're going to get to draw on the next turn and Scarm. There you go. Like literally that's all you need. You had 13 monsters in the deck you could draw to make your ties live. 1 was right on top of the deck. So assuming Droll, Ash, Imperm, and Horror House were going to stop our opponent, we were actually going to be in a pretty good spot going. Let's say we had to use all 4 interruptions to slow down something like this. Let's say we were playing against Drytron. They had a really good hand. I don't care how good your hand is. You're not like killing your opponent through this. So we're going to go normal summon Scarm just to show you guys how this works. So we're going to go Ties of the Brethren targeting the Scarm. And obviously off of this, we want Lilith and Sandgame because we want maximum value, and that's what these cards are going to give us there. So this was like, I don't know, the perfect draw, I would say, outside of like Tour Guide potentially. But yes, we're going to resolve there. On resolution, Scarm pops himself because we have a non-Burning Abyss on the field, which is absolutely fine. Then we're going to go Lilith effect, tributing Sandgame. We don't even care about our battle phase because we don't have one this turn, so don't forget about that. So Sandgame, so we're going to get a trap first, and because we don't have a battle phase, a way to really apply like a ton of pressure, we probably want Sanctum, but I guess it really depends because if we don't have a lot of removal here. So our opponent still might have bodies on field. If they have a lot of bodies on field and we just want to make sure they're not able to make great use of them, we could go for punishment. But generally, if you haven't already Sanctum and you still have Scythe in the deck, we're going to go for Sanctum. Then, of course, Sandgame will resolve. We've already used Ash and Droll because we drew an awful, awful hand. So we're just going to grab the 3rd hand trap that we have. So we'll grab Veiler, and when we proceed to end phase, our Scarm will get us a search for Tour Guide to get a solid value on the crackback, either help us assemble damage or help us assemble, you know, the ability to link climb into something that potentially helps us to put more oomph on the opponent's face. And yeah, so pretty much on the crackback, we had 2 cards. We made it into 4, but it's more than that because it's 4. Plus, this is getting us a Scythe. This is going to tribute itself to get us another trap, and we're going to be able to grind like the Dickens. So this is not a bad hand, I would say. You just like needed to hit any of the 13 Dark Fiends off of your top deck coming into the next turn, because you definitely slowed your opponent down. You just needed to hit something to make that ties live, and if you did, whether it was level 4 or level 3, you're going to have a really good chance. And so I like this deck. You always have a chance. Your bad hands, your garbage hands, just mean you have like 4 or 5 interruptions and your opponent is at least not playing for 1 turn. Now, you know, if you don't draw anything in 2 or 3 turns, that's going to bring you back into the duel, at least allow you to assemble some sort of board presence, then you're still probably fucked. But what are you going to do, right? You just got to hope it's heart of the card. It's all that stuff. So here we go. Next hand, 4th hand, I believe. Let's see. I want to open a really good hand. You've opened like some okay hands and that hand was not great. I want to open a really good hand. Okay, this hand has the potential to be really good. We just have to Pot of Prosperity here. Yep, so we're going to blind Pot of Prosperity. I'm going for 6 here because I really want to find Ties of the Brethren, and we do not care about this. Still want to keep this. Taking... Probably should keep Link Spider if we can. Get rid of Dragus Depelia. We have Lair of Darkness, so we're getting rid of Chimera. Don't like getting rid of Intis like ever. We're not going second, so we can get rid of both of those. This would be Fortune Tune, by the way. And the last card, probably gonna be, man, Mud Dragon. I don't think we really need it, to be honest. So there's our Pot of Prosperity. Let's go for 6. Hopefully we can find a Ties in here. 3, 4, 5, 6. Wow, what an awful Ties. Wow, that's like as bad as it gets. That's so bad. We have a Punishment, so that's like a useless card. We have an Arima, so LAIR is like almost a useless card. Also, the other 2 copies of Arima, wow. We had 5 other copies of this card in the deck, and we drew 3 of them here out of the top 6 cards of the deck. Prosperity is dead because we're using Prosperity now. I mean, it's dead for this turn. We can add it for next turn. And Tour Guide. We have 2 other normal summons in hand. This is about as bad a Prosperity as it gets. We still don't like lose, of course. We don't just lose here, but it is kind of annoying, the position we are going to be put in here. Man, it's really bad that I almost want the Prosperity, but we probably shouldn't. Gosh, that's bad. I'm gonna reluctantly take the Punishment. And I mean reluctantly. It's really not good at all, but at least, like, as far as our opponent knows, when we flip Punishment, they still won't know what the other set is. It's going to be another Punishment, but they won't know that. And most decks aren't even going to be able to beat Punishment plus Lilith anyway, so whatever. We're going to pitch the Arima. We're going to grab a LAIR because, you know, that's how this deck works. We're going to activate the LAIR. We're going to normal the Lilith. I'm not going to activate it again for the same reasoning that, like, what's the point of just, like, running our extra deck a little more dry of back to the front. It also means we lose to Ghost Spell. Like, we actually lose to Ghost Spell. They just Ghost Spell the back to the front. We probably lose. We don't guarantee lose, but, like, it's not going to be good. So yeah, you've got the quick tribute off of Lilith. You've got double Punishment. You may not even need to set the second one, to be honest. You may just want to save that for your next turn, but it is what it is. I think this is fine. We still have a good chance. We're going to tribute an opponent's monster to get another trap. We're going to have Punishment here. And I think that's probably enough. We can normal summon Scarm next turn, just to have it pop itself so that we can get an end phase search probably, or if we have to tribute our Lilith at some point. It's hard to just top deck this because we're going to be tributing Lilith to pull a trap out of the deck, so it is going to shuffle. But yeah, again, not a crazy hand. I just want to see one really good hand, man. I feel like sometimes they come in clusters, and then other times I just, like, cannot find a legit good hand. Like, sure, you either have, like, an awkward Ties play, or you just have, like, a mediocre hand with, like, one normal summon and some traps. But I want to see a combination. I want to see, like, 2 traps, LAIR, Ties of the Brethren, and a level 3 or 4 dark. Show me some of that magic. I know it's asking a lot, but those are, like, big numbers. It's not like those are just, like, 5 separate 3-ofs that I want to draw. All right, here we go. Infinite Impermanence, Maze Administrator Arlecchino, Lilith Lady of Lament, Artifact Sanctum, and Tour Guide from the Underworld. Okay. Here we go. This hand is, again, decent, but not bad. You have to decide whether or not you want to go for Lilith or Tour Guide. So, man, I kind of want Lilith. Yeah, I'm going to normal summon Lilith. We're going to preemptively use it here. We're probably not getting hand trapped or anything, but yep, might as well throw that out there. We're going to grab ourselves a Punishment. After you have Sanctum, it's almost always best to have, like, for Punishment to be, like, your next card. Or if you know you're playing as a backward deck, you grab Harpy Storm Duster. Heavy Storm Duster, not Harpies. So then you're just going to set 3 and you're going to pass. There's nothing too crazy here. We've got the tour guide for follow-up. Once we use one of our interruptions, which is probably going to start with Sanctum on Scythe, because if I can save these, I want to. So I want to I like scything first. I know sometimes they say save your biggest interruptions for last, but I think for this particular deck, this particular set of traps, I think generally you want to let your opponent play a monster first so that we don't lose to Gamma, even though I feel like they would have Gammaed the Lilith because people are like really scared of Lilith. But just in case, let them commit a monster to the field. If it's Tri-Brigade, let them do their normal summon, then you Sanctum. They have to have exactly Ash, and if they don't have an Ash saved in the hand, you're just going to summon out our Scythe. Then in a new Chain Link, we're going to go Scythe Chain Link 1 because it's mandatory, then Arlecchino Chain Link 2, summon him, and now we've got still 3 more interruptions. After that, they are locked out of the extra deck, so a lot of decks are just going to pass on that anyway. And if it's Tri-Brigade and they normal summon and they try to set cards, Punishment's still going to hit a back row and their monster. So that still is like a pseudo heavy Storm Duster. Just hopefully they don't set like 3, because then that could be a problem. But at least you'll have like, you know, extra potential there. If they try to extend, you'll have Arlecchino to Book of Moon their monster and get a pop on the next turn. But either way, really solid. Tour Guide's going to summon out probably, depends on what the top deck is. It's Sanctum here, but if we needed Arlecchino to activate his effect, we would have also shuffled the deck again. So Sanctum's still not horrible though, because we still have a Moral Attack in the deck there. So I'm not going to cry over that. There, okay. So again, another decent hand, but not a great hand. You know, saw the one of Arlecchino, but the beauty of it is that card is not a brick at all, especially going first. And if you see with Imperm going second, you are making power moves. You're making, you know, Imperm multi-faker-esque power moves. But we'll do, I don't know, 1 or 2 more test hands here just to see how we round out. See if we can hit a really, really good hand. I want to show you guys like the best case scenario for this deck, because everything here hasn't looked too crazy, but when you really like are going first and like put it into perspective, it actually is really strong. Okay, here we go. This is potential for a really good hand. Obviously we're going to start with Pot of Prosperity, and we're going to see if we can hit a Ties of the Brethren, because that is like the one card we're looking for here. If not, we'll take one of these beautiful, beautiful traps. Last card, Ties of the Brethren, let's go. We'll take Ties to hand. Prosperity goes, and now this hand is actually officially our first really, really good hand. I'm looking at Seth, she's over there, because I'm crazy. We're going to normal summon the Scarm, because if we have a Rima, we don't have another lair, we definitely want to be going for that. Although I would like to show you that, but still. I'll show you that after, maybe. So we'll Ties targeting the Scarm. We're going to do the same thing we did earlier with that hand on like the next turn where we had to try and play. We're going to summon our Sangan, and we're going to summon our Lilith. Scarm's going to pop itself. Do not forget to search off this card. It is so easy. BA players know it. LAIR players know it. Anybody that's ever played that card knows that it's so easy to forget. We're going to go Lilith, tributing the Sangan, and we're going to set ourselves a Sanctum because we don't already have one. And it's the single most impactful trap card in our deck. Then Sangan's going to get us a search. Depending on what you're playing against, you know, we're going to search Ash for this instance. If you're playing against Tri-Brigade, probably grab the Veiler. If you're playing against something like Drytron, probably grab the Droll. So yeah, we'll grab that. We're going to set 1, 2, 3. Boop, boop, boop. We got a Book of Moon, and a Monster Negate, a Lock You Out of the Extra Deck, and we're gonna go pitch to search. This is definitely the best hand we've had here. We'll grab LAIR, we will activate LAIR, and now we also have Lilith, and then on end phase, also do not forget on end phase. This is big stuff here, big important. We're gonna grab Tour Guide. So we're gonna be able to Tour Guide for another Lilith next turn, which will be 3,000 damage, essentially being normal summoned. We're honestly gonna have a potential. We're gonna have the potential to OTK coming into next turn. To be honest, yeah, we really are. So yeah, that's really, really solid. You've got this for follow up. This 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 into another trap. So as far as follow up goes, you've got a trap off of this, and then interruption. You've got a quick tribute, an Ash, lock you out of the extra deck, or pop you while also summoning a beater we can use next turn. A Monster Negate, and a Book of Moon. These duels are very hard to lose unless your opponent has something specific like Evenly or like Lightning Storm, Harpy's Feather Duster in the main, and they end up seeing it. That's like the only way you're in trouble. But even then, like, I wouldn't even say you're fully in trouble. Like because you can chain Sanctum, so you'll still scythe them. So you'll still have Lilith, Scythe. It would clear the LAIR, but you'd still have Lilith, they'd be Scythed. You have Ash, follow up in Tour Guide, and you're going to get to draw as well. To have another chance at LAIR or something else, just to be able to grind. So you don't even like solo lose to that, to be honest, which is cool. So we will do one more. In fact, here, let's just make this easy. We'll actually like fix the hand a little bit, just because I want to show you guys this before we go here. For anybody that's curious about how this likes to go down, Arima plus Ties of the Brethren. We'll shuffle and we'll draw 3 random cards just to make this a little bit more random. If we draw any level 3s, we'll probably throw them back in the deck just because you're probably going the level 3 route. I think is generally better, but this just, if you do have this availability, and only this availability, obviously, you're still not going to be super mad. Super Poly, okay. Prosperity, and Arlecchino. Arlecchino is so awkward. Come on. Here, you know what? We'll put Arlecchino back just because, like, that's super lame. Just to be able to show. Okay, so let's say we have LAIR. That's interesting. Makes our Super Poly a little more live. So what are we gonna do here? We need a trap card at all costs here. So we're actually gonna Prosperity first. We're gonna look for 6. Okay, so I have some things I'm thinking about here. If we don't want to lock the Barrier Statue out, like Barrier Statue locks us out of Sanctum because the artifacts are light, and then we have Imperm, but do I really want to add Imperm off of this? I don't know. At least like, man, but if they're playing a dark deck, they just don't care. I think the smart play is to go for Imperm here. Not get too crazy. I get it. Sanctum is like the really high impact play, but still. So we're gonna normal summon an Arima. We're gonna activate Ties, targeting the Arima to summon 2 level 4 Dark Fiends straight out of the deck. The first one being Skullmeister, and the second one being Barrier Statue of the Abyss in defense mode. Just so anything with 1,000 can't crash with it, ideally. From this point, we're going to use Arima's effect, tributing Skullmeister. What would have been so clean is if Skullmeister is like Ogre and it could activate from field or hand. It can only activate from hand, so I have no problems tributing it off. So we will go ahead and grab ourselves the Arlecchino that we drew earlier, but we kind of put back just to fix this hand a little bit, just so I could show it off to you, because this effect can add any monster, any dark monster with 2,000 or more defense. That is definitely Arlecchino here. From there, we're going to discard the Arima, and we are going to search ourselves a LAIR. Boop. And then we're going to get to business here. We're going to activate LAIR. We're going to set Infinite Impermanence, and we're going to pass on that. I'm going to hold the Super Poly in hand. I don't really want to discard Arlecchino for that. I'd rather have Arlecchino. You get better board presence out of it, I believe, and this card can come up later on once you draw and stuff, and get like another free draw to next turn off of Arima too. So yeah, overall, this hand's actually pretty good. It really is. So let's see. We're going to have Infinite Impermanence as our first interruption. They have to worry about the Barrier Statue if they're playing anything that has like significant plays that aren't completely dark, which is most decks. It actually is. Like most decks just cannot even work under Barrier Statue. So if they go, if they go Tri-Brigade, they're somehow able to fill off the graveyard, we can still imperm the most important monster they have to use, because they can't extend with Karass or anything like that. They can't extend with Barrage because all Zodiacs are Earth. Yeah, so like imperm for them is like pretty brutal. Yeah. And even if they like go battle phase, they've wasted their battle phase, and you still will have imperm into a monster, then resolve Arlecchino, and then you have a Book of Moon as well, which is also a problem for those decks. And then you have Super Poly. It's actually pretty good. Yeah. So I will take that. I will definitely take that test hand. And I believe that's going to conclude us here, guys. Thank you so much for watching. As always, let me know in the comment section down below what you're thinking about this LAIR build. I'm sure there are still kinks to work out. I mean, we're on 45 cards in the main. I just really don't know what to trim here. But all things considered, I thought the test hands were pretty good. I think it did a pretty good job of showing that like your worst hands just means you have like a ton of interruptions. And like you just need to stall until you draw a card that plays. Same thing that like BA has. Like BA only plays like 15 to 20 monsters right now. But they play a ton of traps. If they're just drawing traps, they just stall until they draw Tour Guide, draw some of their like discardable BAs off of the traps, and then slowly grind their way into a board state. But yeah, that's going to do it for me today, guys. Thank you so much for watching. As always, subscribe to the channel if you want to see more stuff like this in the future. Try to go to locals today, but we are flooded here in Maryland by Hurricane Ida. I guess we caught the bum. We caught the rump of Hurricane Ida. So no locals today. Hopefully I'll take this to locals next week and be able to see how we can perform and, you know, do my best there. But, yep, I will see you next week there. Other videos to come. Thank you again. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.